Ooh, nice greatsword.
Thanks, I've had it my whole life.
I'll be taking that now.
What do you mean?
Ladies, gentlemen, and tarnished of all ages, in a game like Elden Ring, one of the biggest questions there is what weapon you are going to use the most. Sure, there are certain playstyles that you can expect to be in the game, but until you actually dig into the meat of the game itself, you won't know just how unique some weapons can get. Today I'll be going over 8 weapons you don't want to miss in Limgrave and Liurnia, as well as 2 that you can grab with a short jaunt over to the Bloodclot lands with no combat involved. Sound good?
Sounds fantastic.
First up then, because it's literally something every single player will pass before even setting foot into the open world, the Dragon Communion Seal. This is an item that you can hold and use to cast and boost incantations that you have equipped, while aesthetically just having a cool bare hand with dragon blooming out of it. It's found by using 2 Stone Sword keys just off of the Stranded Graveyard Site of Grace found here. You have to get past the Chariot Trap, which is done the easiest way by noting its timing. When it first starts to go back down, you can make it halfway down the ramp, then when it comes back up, go to the 3rd alcove on the right hand side, wait until you hear it start to come up one more time and immediately drop down. This will leave the Chariot Trap far enough behind that if you full sprint forwards, you can outrun it if you know where you want to go. Follow this path, make sure you go up the ramp and not down the ramp, fight the knight enemy at the end, killing him with the Chariot Trap itself for style points if you want, and loot your very own Dragon Communion Seal. Second up, the Winged Scythe. This is a Scythe type weapon notable for its cute little angel crest. However, it's not only a dex weapon but a faith weapon as well, does holy damage as well as slashing damage, and has a unique art of war that will leap forward with a holy imbued attack that prevents your opponents from using a flask of tears. This is useful against a few NPCs who will use their flasks, but mostly this will see its use as a PvP weapon for sure. To acquire it, head to the Tombsword Ruins, a short dash northeast of the 4th Choice of Marika in the Weeping Peninsula. Fight or avoid a couple of enemies so you can loot the chest and job's done. Thirdly, a weapon aptly called the Treespear. This is a great spear that is scaled with strength, dexterity, and faith, and requires quite a fair amount of dexterity and faith to wield properly. Wielding properly includes access to a unique Ash of War called Sacred Order, which gives your weapon holy essence, especially strong against the undead, obviously. This weapon is in the Liurnia region, and from the first site of grace that you get to just outside the back of the castle, jump down the cliffs to your right, follow the road south to its end, fight or ignore the giant that has gotten loose, and then run up to the abandoned carriage at the end of the road, inside of which lays the Treespear. Fourth, this one is debatable whether you even want to call it a weapon or not, but I think it's really cool, so I'm showing you anyways. The Wraith Calling Bell. This is an item, yes, an item, an equipable item that you can use to spend 7 FP and summon a Wraith projectile, homing in on your targeted enemy. What makes this debatably a weapon is that the damage is scaled with intelligence and faith, so, you know, you could conceivably use this as just your regular damage source if you want to, repeatably, for the entire duration of your mana pool. It's also super cool on top of that if you want to. If you want this bell for yourself, go to the Laskiar Ruins right down in the lakes of Liurnia, find the staircase downward, and retrieve your reward. Fifth, the Ornamental Straight Sword. When two-handed, this weapon is dual-wielded one-handed swords with a unique Ash of War to give the weapons holy damage as well as change what the strong attack does, giving it a flurry of blows that could really poke someone's grape out, if you know what I mean. To acquire this, all you have to do is defeat the first enemy in the entire game. That's right, the Grafted Scion. The first time that you fight him, you more than likely are one of the majority of people who lost, meaning that you were then teleported away. However, if you defeat him, you get this weapon. You may think that your opportunity has now been lost, dang it, but once you get to West Liurnia, head a bit south to the 4 Belfries, find the Waygate of Awakening, and be mesmerized at glorious teleportation to the very first opening area of Elden Ring. Sixth, the Frozen Needle. A personal favorite of mine so far, this weapon is an ice damage rapier that has a relatively basic Ash of War, but has a super unique effect where the strong attack, instead of the normal rapier moveset double attack, fires out a projectile at medium range. It literally fires the icicle blade out and then reforms it instantly. How absolutely awesome is that? It scales with dexterity and strength, normal rapier, really, other than the ice damage, and the really sick strong attack. To get this, we are still in West Liurnia, this time the King's Realm ruins. Find the stairs downward and follow them to, unfortunately, a boss room containing the Royal Revenant boss. This boss has a lot of hands and a lot of feet and a few heads too, and by God will he not stop attacking. This is the only weapon on this entire list that is actually gated by a proper boss, and he is sort of a meanie, just in the sense that he is super fast and absolutely relentless. Upon defeating this carnivorous corpse load of cartilage, you'll be granted access to a rear chamber, within which is a chest with the frozen needle. Next up, the Sword of Night and Flame, a particularly cool sword that takes advantage of multiple schools of magic through its Ash of War. Otherwise a normal straight sword, this weapon can choose to create either a fire attack or the Night Comet sorcery, and also it scales with both intelligence and faith for its regular damage. This is one of the swords for you spellcasty stabby type people. It is really cool. To get it for yourself, head to Caria Manor in the northwesternmost tip of Liurnia, travel along the walkways until you are towards the middle of the area, drop down onto this roof, then into this hole, loot the chest, and Bob's your uncle. I don't really know who Bob is, but he's your uncle now. I'm sorry, but also congratulations. Eighth, just down the road, you can find yourself the Troll Knight Greatsword. One of the great things about these types of games is generally if you see an enemy with a particularly cool looking weapon, you can get it for yourself somewhere in some way. In this case, it is literally by killing its wielder. Upon killing a Troll Knight, one of which is found in the north side of Caria Manor, you have a chance of receiving the Troll Knight Sword, which is a colossal sword that scales with intelligence, and has a unique Ash of War, Troll's Roar, creating a blast of wind in front of you. So, you know, if you like spells, but also cutting people in half, this is a pretty cool find for you. The next two on the list will be in the Caelid region, just to the east of Limgrave. We won't be fighting a single enemy to get them, and won't be spoiling anything in the area to get them other than the aesthetic of the zone and a few enemy types around the place that you will literally just be walking past. If you don't want to see that zone at all, then I bid you farewell. Unless I can tempt you with a bit of Guts' Greatsword from Berserk. In order to grab yourself this giant lump of iron, head to the Saints Bridge site of grace to the north of Limgrave, and then follow the road to the east until you reach the point where the landscape starts to change color entirely. On your right will be a site of grace called Rotview Balcony that you should absolutely grab before any enemy touches you, because they sort of hurt. From here, you follow the road a bit to the east. Just on the other side of some cliffs, you'll find an abandoned carriage. Carefully work your way around to the back without angering the hellhounds, and inside you will find an item simply and lovingly labeled Greatsword. There is no question what this weapon is once you see it. The description of the weapon even references it greatly, like greatswordly. And if you want to really show some guts in your Elden Ring playthrough, then this is definitely the weapon for you. Finally, we have the Meteorite Staff. This is really quite a special one, as it has S-tier intelligence scaling, which is just ludicrous, and boosts gravity magic boost as a side bonus too. To get yourself this beauty, follow that same road from before past the Rotview Balcony until it turns south. Keep following that road until you reach the site of grace, astray from Caelid Highway North. From there, head northeast to the Street of Sages ruins in the largest building of the area. On the inside of the tower is where you can get this item. If you approach from the front, there are a ton of little annoying enemies that want to give you a terrible debuff, but you can avoid that entirely by just horse parkouring up the back window and grabbing it real sneaky like. And with that, we have 10 weapons that you really don't want to miss within the first couple of zones in Elden Ring. Do any of these excite you? Maybe give you ideas you want to build around? Or are you still looking for your dream weapon later on down the line? Like if you like the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.